Our ocean ecosystem is in crisis, an emergency of catastrophic proportions caused by the out-of-control growth of seal populations. And the Government of Canada is turning a blind eye. It prefers to pander to animal rights groups and ignore the disaster that is devastating our oceans. Seals are at the top of our ocean's food chain. They have very few natural enemies. Let's start with gray seals. Gray seals flourish in the Gulf of St. Lawrence and along the west coast of Newfoundland. Many summer off the south coast. Each adult eats up to 2 tons of prey every year. In 1960, there were an estimated 8,000 gray seals in Atlantic Canada. Today, it's estimated there are over 400,000, 50 times what it was 5 decades ago. Think about that. 400,000 gray seals can eat up to 800,000 tons of fish every year, and the number of gray seals continues to grow. To put this in perspective, in 2019, the entire Atlantic Canadian fishery landed 560,000 tons of seafood, a fraction of what gray seals now consume. But this catch fed millions of people and generated more than $3.2 billion in direct economic benefit for hundreds of thousands of people. Today, gray seals are directly responsible for the threatened extinction of Atlantic cod in the southern Gulf of St. Lawrence. But gray seals are only the tip of the iceberg. Let's talk about harp seals. We have the largest harp seal population in the world. The last estimate was approximately 7.6 million. That number is steadily rising. In 2008, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans estimated that harp seals were eating 4.2 million tons of prey. Out of this amount, harp seals ate 1.26 million tons of capelin. By comparison, in 1965, harp seals ate only 242,000 tons of capelin. And people wonder, what's happening to the capelin? As for Atlantic cod, in 2008, harp seals ate an estimated 565,000 tons, compared to only 7,000 tons in 1965. Between 1992 and 2021, the entire commercial fishery in Newfoundland and Labrador landed just 507,000 tons of Atlantic cod. As with capelin, seals eat more in 1 year than the commercial fishery harvested in nearly 30 years. To call these numbers a concern would be the understatement of the century, especially for those whose livelihoods depend on a healthy and sustainable ocean environment. Because it's clear, the threat to our fishery is not the strictly managed commercial fishery. It's an uncontrolled seal population and a government that has put its head in the sand rather than deal with it. The federal government has done inadequate scientific assessments of seal populations, what they eat, and how much. Why? You see, if we don't have the scientific data available, the government doesn't have to admit the problem exists. And let's be very clear, the government's refusal to act is political and not based on any kind of science. The government of the day simply does not want to address the all too obvious seal problem. And the reason is simple. Harp seals are the golden ticket for animal rights groups because saving baby seals is an easy sell. It doesn't matter that it's been illegal since the 1980s to harvest baby seals, more properly known as whitecoats, and to this day, environmental groups use harp seals in their propaganda to gain donations, as if they were a threatened species, despite the fact that the harp seal is the most populous marine mammal in northeastern Canada. Seal was a staple of northern diets long before Europeans colonized North America. Rich in vitamins, fat, and protein, and valued for their warm, durable pelts, seals quickly became valuable to settlers as well. Our historically sustainable and humane seal hunt has been publicly and inaccurately persecuted by the animal rights movement since the 1960s. As a result, the seal hunt has declined steadily in the decades since. The public campaign by animal rights groups has drawn support from individuals with no understanding of the traditional and sustainable nature of the seal hunt. They've had the wool pulled over their eyes, while the real devastation continues to occur beneath the ocean's surface. But unlike African bush elephants, one-horned rhinos, and right whales, seals are not a species under threat. Harp seals are the most abundant marine mammal in Canada's north. The European Union's ban of seal products is one clear example of the global ignorance about the seal hunt. It also shows our government is unwilling to stand up for true environmental sustainability, or for our traditional way of life and our culture. Why? Because the Prime Minister of Canada receives more letters about banning the seal hunt than any other issue. It's a hot topic that each successive government chooses to ignore, pushing the problem down the road. In an effort to appease groups with provably false claims against the seal hunt, our government is ignoring a very real and provable ecological disaster. Many former members of groups that oppose the seal hunt are now employed by the federal government. They bend the bureaucracy toward their own misguided agenda. As a result, any action on seals is perpetually stalled. They seem oblivious to the incredible irony of their position. The animal they seek to protect, the seal, is the biggest environmental threat our ocean ecosystem has ever faced. The contradictions in policy initiatives are astounding. Just 10 years ago, Parks Canada identified significant damage to Grossmore National Park in western Newfoundland. Forests were severely degraded. Vegetation was depleted to the point that animals were being forced out. The reason? Moose overpopulation. The government correctly solved the problem by allowing hunters into the park to harvest thousands of moose. As a result, the population was brought back into balance. Nature quickly rebounded, and the forest recovered. So what about the seals that are destroying our ocean ecosystem? Unlike seals, moose are not the poster child used by animal rights groups to get donations, and the federal government just doesn't want to stand against them.
Well, I think that of all the animals in the world, or any environmental problem in the world, the harp seal is the easiest issue to raise funds on. The seal hunt has always turned a profit for the Greenpeace Foundation. And then other organizations like IFAW, API, Fund for Animals also make a profit off of the seal. Well, it's definitely because it's easier to make money and because it does make a profit, because there are over 1,000 animals on the endangered species list, and the seal isn't one of them. See, the thing is, the seal is very easy to exploit as an image. We have posters, we have buttons, we have shirts, all of which portray the head of a baby seal with tears coming out of its eyes.
And that's how it will stay, until we decide to use the truth, to fight with the truth, to stave off an impending disaster caused by a dangerous imbalance in our ocean ecosystem. And the truth is this: fish harvesters are not ravaging our fishery and destroying our ocean ecosystem. Seals are. Uncontrolled seal populations threaten rebuilding our fish stocks. They threaten the sustainability of our fishing industry. They threaten the health of our ocean. The federal government must immediately undertake a thorough and transparent scientific assessment of seal populations in Atlantic Canada. This updated assessment is the essential starting point to officially understanding and acknowledging the truth. It's the first step in providing true environmental sustainability and in saving not only our fishery, but the seals as well. But then, government must act on the scientific findings. So how do we make this happen? We all know this is a political issue. It will take political courage to compel the federal government to stop pandering to self-serving, misguided groups that are preventing solutions. This political courage must start here at home with our Premier, our MHAs, and members of Parliament. Many of these political leaders will acknowledge privately that they are in full agreement with what we've shared in this video. It's time now to make their views known publicly, to collectively pressure the federal government, publicly and privately, to demand that at the very least, DFO must do the science, to let scientific truth, not misguided hysteria, dictate the correct course of action. If they fail to do so, the time will come when the disasters we have warned of here will come to pass. It will fall to each of them to explain why they did nothing to prevent it.